Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's video. Going to have a bit of a look at the next few months today. Just thinking a little bit about November and December, and then we'll come back and have a look at October as well, the weather going out over the next week or two. Be honest, it's a job coming up with things to discuss just at the moment, because we're in a very quiet phase where there will be some rain coming up through the course of this week, but I think going back to high pressure. So it's a job finding things to talk about, but hopefully you find the video interesting. Now, before I go on with all that, just talk about the advertising. There's green keyword ads on my page. It's at GatsLovis.com. When you roll your cursor over green keywords, they display ads. When you click through the words, you go to advertise website. You support GatsLovis.com by doing that. So just starting off with September, see what happened in September. This is from the website climateuk.com. This is the Central England temperature. Also rain and sunshine for Central England here as well. And the Central England temperature for September comes out at 13.8, which is pretty very close to the seasonal average. There's Central England temperature there. It's actually a little bit below average because it's set against the, I think it's set against the 81 to 2010 average now on this website. So it comes out a little bit below average. If you set this against 61 to 90, it will probably come out just very slightly above average, maybe about 0.1, 0.2 above average. But basically, I think we can say we've had near normal sort of temperatures through September. Maybe quite surprising, Matt, because we've had quite a warm end to the month, because we had a very cold spell in the middle of the month. It's been a very strange month, September 2013. Precipitation, though, rainfall coming out well below average, just 79% of the average. And sunshine also coming out below average, just 91% of the average. So near normal temperatures, drier than average, and duller than average as well. Been a very odd September though. We had a really hot start to the month, then we had a really cold spell through the middle 2 weeks, and it got warm again at the end of the month. So quite a strange sort of September, but averaging it all out, not far from the average. Well, let's start thinking a little bit about November and December. I've been looking at the CFS version 2 700 millibar anomalies. 700 millibars is an area in the atmosphere where we've got high pressure and low pressure developing. This first anomaly chart is for November, and it's looking like quite an unsettled month, to be honest. We've got quite a deep trough of low pressure in the Atlantic. That would really start to shake things up. We have got some blocking being indicated by these yellow colours. They're more to the north and the northeast of the country. Probably not that influential, but perhaps enough just to bring the jet stream down on a southerly track around this area of low pressure around the trough in the Atlantic. I think that would be seeing a jet stream more or less coming through the British Isles, something like that. But I think the main thing to take from that is that November could be really quite an unsettled month with quite a lot of heavy rain. Notice also this trough going through to the east of Europe and into Russia. That's on a southerly track as well, with a southerly tracking jet stream. So that implies that we'll be building up more snow cover, extensive snow cover across much of Russia through the course of November. That's quite a cold position for that trough to be in for November. But for us, I don't think it's particularly cold. Maybe cold at times, but the main thing, quite a wettish sort of month. Now, as we move through to December, very interesting 700 millibar high anomalies then, because we start to build up some really very extensive blocking up over Greenland. Those orange colours indicating that we've got a really block pattern going on as we move into December, and that does extend out into northern and central parts of Scandinavia as well. We've still got a trough of low pressure in the Atlantic. This time it's more to the south though. I think the jet stream around that trough is coming southwards through the east and through the east of the United States. Cold month possible there through the east of states. Then it rises around that ridge up over Greenland, around the blocking, and then it comes southwards again around the trough. That could be really quite a cold pattern for December. Actually, I think we could have a really cold pattern setting up there. And the trough of low pressure would be providing precipitation, so that would be providing a prospect of some snow. If you have a look at the rainfall forecast for November, it is going for a wet month there across the British Isles. We've got above average rainfall in November, so quite a wettish sort of month. Also notice it's drier than average up over Scandinavia, so that implies that there is high pressure lurking up there over Scandinavia. So maybe it could be a colder month actually, November, than the model is forecasting. It wasn't really that apparent, but we got this blocking up over Scandinavia through November on the 700 millibar high dominance. But with it being so dry up over there, it does imply that there is quite a bit of high pressure for Scandinavia. But once we get through to December, then we're looking at the blockings focus more towards Greenland and Iceland actually, so the high pressure is up over here, although we are very dry still around Norway, so again that does imply that there's high pressure over there. I think basically the idea for December is that we've got a lot of high pressure influences going on there across the northern latitudes of the northern, or our side of the northern hemisphere anyway, so lots of block conditions up there, and the jet stream is coming through to the south of the British Isles, running through the Mediterranean. That's why it's so wet for Spain and Portugal. And for us, well, yeah, we're between the low pressure in the Atlantic and the high pressure up to the north and the northeast. So that could be really quite cold, I think, for the British Isles and for much of Central Europe as well. We'd have to keep an eye on that because that could be a cold month emerging. For December, now, in the more immediate term, going through the next couple of weeks, it looks so high pressure is going to be building up off the Atlantic again at the weekend. So here comes the Azores high coming in from the Atlantic as we go into Sunday. And then as we move through into next week, it looks so high pressure is building to the south of the country, low pressure out of the Atlantic, keeping it very quiet. Quite mild as well, but there could be some mist and fog by night. As we go through to a week away, Tuesday the 8th, that high pressure is still dominant as it is going into the 9th. Low pressure is trying to come in off the Atlantic, but really it's a high pressure over and to the east of the country that's holding sway. Nothing really changed as we go through to the end of next week and into next weekend. So that's taking us to like the 12th of October, still with high pressure very dominant. So it does look as though we're going to have quite a dry and a fairly warm sort of start to October as well. The East MWF backing this up with high pressure coming in from the west and the southwest through Sunday. As we move through into the next week, high pressure really is quite dominant away from the far northwest, and Scotland high pressure is firmly in control of this going through next week. There's the British Isles. The high pressure is to the east of the country, so very dry conditions through next week. Quite warm as well, but we wouldn't be having to think about fog if the nights are clear. We could get a lot of fog with this, but still, even going out to Friday the 11th of October, the high pressure is very dominant there across central and eastern parts of Europe, bringing up this southerly flow to many parts of the country. So the sort of Indian summer type conditions would be extending out well into October with that. Mind you, we are going to have some rain in the next couple of days, as I said at the start of the video. This is the high resolution NAE precipitation forecast for 6 o'clock tomorrow from website Weather Online. I'll link to Weather Online on my links page. We've got the rain in the west and coming up from the southwest as well at 6 o'clock in the morning. As we move through to lunchtime tomorrow, actually that swathe of rain is lying right across the country. Could be some quite heavy rain in with that as well. Certainly it's showery sort of rain, but there could be some heavier bursts, I think, mixed in with that through the course of tomorrow morning. And then going out 6 o'clock in the evening, it's starting to die out then as it gets through into eastern parts of the country. Remember, the high pressure is all to the east, so it is running into high pressure. But we've still got some heavy showers and longer spells of rain out to the west, and they'll be moving in as we move through into Thursday. So this is the precipitation forecast, rainfall forecast for the GFS model for 6 o'clock in the evening on Thursday, suggesting again there's quite a lot of rain across the country, and that could get really very heavy through Thursday evening into Friday across parts of the Midlands and northern England. Could be some really quite torrential rain then. But then it will push away to the east, and after that we're looking at high pressure building back in over the weekend. So I think we are probably going to have a couple of days of rain through Thursday and Friday, well, Wednesday, Thursday into Friday. Then it's back to high pressure and very dry conditions then as we go through the rest of the weekend and on into next week. Could be some rain up in the far north and northwest of Scotland, but really high pressure is dominating, I think, for quite some time through the course of next week. Of course, those charts for November and December looking very interesting from a CFS. While it may get colder as we go through into November and December and become very unsettled as well, but they're experimental, so we've got to take that a bit of a pinch of salt, but certainly the signal is there for quite a bit of blocking to re-emerge or to come back as we go through to November and December. So some interest in the longer range, but for the shorter range, once we get the rainfall out of the way this week, and I'll be talking more about it in the 5-day forecast tomorrow, lots of high pressure and dry, sort of fine and quite warm conditions going well on into October. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.